we're back with another episode of I Build at 4 a.m. And for today, co-hosting with me, I have Bruno. Say hi, Bruno.
Hey, guys.
And we have this amazing guest that is Professor Guto from UFF in the state of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, right? So before we start, I think it would be really nice for you to give us an intro about you, Guto, and this whole partnership that we have right now going on.
Hello, Joao. Hello, Bruno. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure for me to be here. As you said, I'm professor in Brazil. I'm professor from Fluminense Federal University since 2011. And I'm very fan of new technologies. And a while ago, I decided to try to understand this beautiful technology that we call blockchain and end up discovering about Cartesi. Since then, I can tell you more about this later, but since then I'm very fan of Cartesi deployments, all the technologies and all the news that they bring to the community.
That's awesome, man. I'm a very big fan of the work that you've been doing. I've been following up on the ecosystem recaps. If someone hasn't got it up yet, I highly suggest watching Professor Guto parts and snapshots in the ecosystem recaps. There's always so much cool things going on, right? So many cool things. So yeah, I would love to hear a little bit about how this happened. How did this collaboration begin, and what is the current setup there?
Okay, let me try to remind me that it was 2020 where we were in the middle of the COVID situation, and I come up with having a few papers, scientific papers to read that was discussing solutions to scale blockchain. Most of the solutions was based on sharding. And at that moment, I had a group of students that was reading and discussing papers of blockchain. And when I had this paper that's called Pyramid, it was at the end, it was accepted. But when I had this paper in my hand, I discussed with the students how nice it would be to have a real scale solution in blockchain. So at some moment, I have a friend of mine that's Carlo, that's part of the team of Cartesi, and we were discussing about blockchain, and I described to him this solution, and he came up saying, look, we have this one. I'm being part of the team of developers that is trying to implement a real scale solution based on Linux. And here, take a look on that and let's discuss a little bit later. And I did that, and it was my beginning of interaction with Cartesi, and I really fall for the ideas and so on. It was the really beginning. After that, I introduced the idea to this group of students. It was at that time 6 or 7 students. I remember that we were having weekly meetings on Friday night. It was COVID, no one was going out, right? So my moment on Friday night was to discuss about the new technologies and new discoveries with blockchain. And I remember it was very fun, and it was good to have the mind at that moment working something else that was beside the difficult moment that we have, right? So from all of those 6 students, they went really deep on the technology, start doing some tutorials that was available at that moment, going through all the documentation and start developing using Cartesi. That was my beginning. After that, there is a long history, but it was really nice.
Yeah, and Joao, it's a pleasure to have Guto here with us from the ecosystem. Professor Guto is one of the most valuable and distinguished members of our ecosystem, having years of contribution to Cartesi project. He's starting engaging with Cartesi project when even our usability was not there. It helped giving super valuable feedback on guiding us from the developer point of view, how it be more convenient to use our protocol stack. Not only that, he has been creative in polishing educational content that he's using in our collaboration, both in Portuguese and in English. And more and even more, he's, of course, we're going to go through that today, but using Cartesi protocol stack on creating solutions for real problems, real world problems, which in my opinion is paramount for any dream of technology adoption, right? And having today here to discuss all of that is just super exciting.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing that at the same time that you guys are creating solutions that tackle real world problems, which is something very rare for us to see on any protocol right now, right? We are still having all the benefit of very good quality feedback, right? On our documentation, on our resources, people using our frameworks, people trying our tech all the time. And it's a cycle because it's been a few semesters happening already, right? This is even something that I'm curious about, like, what is the current setup? What is the way that this happens, like the partnership happens? What is the current format in which you teach those students right now?
Yeah, so I could say that we have a few different partnerships, let's say. There is the educational part, right? So in the educational part, I have a course that offer the students the possibility to, first of all, to understand about blockchain, right? They have no idea. Some of those students, they are very fresh, even in programming, but I offer them the idea or the intro of what is a blockchain, what is scalability issues, why do you need solutions like Cartesi to believe that one day we are going to have real big solutions or systems running on the top of a blockchain system. This course, I offer the students not only the theoretical part, but also a lot of hands-on. So the hands-on part, the students start understanding how to create a smart contract first, and then how hard it is to do that in solutions like Solidity or things like that. And then we move to the Cartesi and show how does the programmability become much easier when we have a layer 2 like Cartesi to program any similar problem that we have before. But to offer the student this possibility, I have also to introduce concepts like what is a Docker, what is a Linux, what are the basic commands of Linux. As I said, some of the students, they are really fresh, right? So they have no idea. And then we go much deeper on hands-on, and at the end, they have to come up with a POC or a project of a POC that makes sense to run as a blockchain solution. Because some of the people nowadays, they believe that everything should be on blockchain, or we could solve anything using layer 2 or things like that, but we know that's not the case, right? So I try to offer the students the idea of what we should solve using blockchain, what not is good to solve using a blockchain that you could use a Web 2, for example. After that, they shouldn't really come up with proposals, and I have like feedbacks to the students, say, look, this has potential, but there's other not, or the potential it should increase with this or that, and there are some clues that I give them. So this is the educational part. I also offer students or group of a limited group of students real problems like those that I'm going to show later here, and those they are really interested students to go deeper on blockchain and Cartesi and Web3 development. Those, they try to come up with real problems in this ecosystem, and we have had a few of those POCs developed, and some of them, they are really with high potential to become a real system offered to a high amount of people or society or things like that here, with some partnership that we have with the municipality.
Yeah, and Joao, I would like to add, this is one of the most interesting, I would say, gaps that we try to cover with the partnership with Guto, right? His partnership is not only UFI, but he's in charge of a group of federal universities in Brazil that is part of this consortium. So all of them give the lessons under kind of a guidance of Guto and the documentation that Guto creates. And of course, as a collective group, they all improve together this educational material. But the tricky part is, for this amount of students that wants to create something deeper or address a real problem, what the Guto and the other professors, they do is they leverage the network with the real market, with the mainstream partners like Petrobras and others. What are the real pains they are facing in the moment, right? And from these real pains, they can select some of those pains that is addressable with blockchain technology. There's a good fit, technology fit. And those start being part of the challenges passed through the students.
I think this is something very important that is not done often, right? Is like, first thing is discussing with the people that will be using your solution, why they are going to be using your solution. So you're not just saying, hey, I want to create a Web3 app just because I want. It's, okay, let's first think of what use cases actually make sense in there. It's not just porting things like crazy. So this is really cool. And it's really nice that we end up finding niche for Cartesi applications there, right? I think this is really awesome, and congrats on the work.
Yeah.
What are the other universities and teachers and courses where this is happening?
We have lessons being taught on Espírito Santo University, Federal Institute of Espírito Santo, and there is also another one that a former student from my course is teaching right now with his which is Roraima University. So all of them somehow was my former student. They went abroad and now they are propagating the same course in those universities. But also we have a new program here that's I'm gonna teach the same course in another university in Bahia as a distance learning. They have a summer program there, or not a real summer, but a winter program and summer program. But during the winter, they have these program of distance learning courses that I'm gonna offer these for the Federal of Bahia. And also there is this National Observatory of Blockchain that I could discuss with you and let you know what is that later. But we have a capacity program for people in blockchain. And this is really nice because this program is gonna be offered for all the universities in Brazil. More than that, actually, all the startups that's related to the program, they're gonna have this possibility of taking these courses of Web3. And the course that I have been lecturing in my university here, I will be offering this National Observatory, and it's gonna be much bigger in terms of possibility of reaching much more people, much more universities, and things like that. So I can discuss and let you know about this observatory. That is a very interesting initiative. I don't know if you want to do that now, but that could be very interesting.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
I think,
go ahead, Guto. Yeah.
since you mentioned,
Okay.
let's go. Let's deep dive.
Okay, so a while ago, I think 1 year ago, there is this big problem program in Brazil that was created by RNP, which is the organizations that, let's say, organize or administrate all the backbone of internet in Brazil. But more than that, they have some development service and things like that. And they created a National Observatory of Blockchain in partnership with CPQD and other institutions like Softex. In this program, they have an open call for the universities and startups to develop some programs in this National Observatory of Blockchain. And I submitted a project that I can show you a little bit what are the objectives of the project, and the project was accepted. So what is this program? The program, they offer nationwide network of blockchain, having as the main blockchains the bZAP and the Fabric. And anyone that wants to develop solutions of Web3 on the top of them could be submit this project, and will be able to submit in the footer in the future. So if you could share my screen, I have the main idea of this working group that I created here. I have this named Padlock. The main objective is for ensuring privacy and personal data protection using machine learning and unlearning on the top of a layer 2 blockchain solution. So basically, the project brings the following idea. The title by itself could be discussed in details, but when we talk more about AI algorithms, we have the following problem with the data protection, right? Any user that owns the data, they can require to remove the data from any database by the law nowadays. But if you remove the data, all the machine learning algorithm that has been using this data, there is some discussion going on that what's the, if you ask to remove the data, what's the requirement for the machine learning algorithms? Shall the influence of that data that has been removed from the database should be also removed from the machine learning? This is an open issue, open discussion yet. But let's suppose that somehow the law enforce that once the data is removed, you have to unlearn about that data from the machine learning algorithm, right? So there is a big problem here if you consider, for example, these LLM models that you have a very high complexity to train all the data set. So what we have right now is, can we have algorithm that instead of being retrained from the scratch, could you unlearn it from a very specific amount of data? And there are some new algorithm that has been focused on that. But the problem here is, if as a machine learning algorithm owner, who guarantees that I removed the data from the data set, but I retrained the algorithm, right? So in this project, we come up with a solution that proves not only that the data has been removed from the data set, but also the model that I'm using right now is the one that has been retrained or after unlearning from that data that I can. And all of these on the top of a blockchain solution, which is the only way that we could have to prove that you are using a model, not another one, right? So this is the main idea of the project. So, and this project is going to be developed on the National Observatory of Blockchain. The first delivery of this project is to develop an interface for integration of with the Maia project of one of the main existing layer 2 blockchain solution, which is Cartesi, in my opinion, right? So after this delivery that we have achieved already, all the users of the Maia project, I mean, all the observatory national blockchain users are now able to use Cartesi. And who are those people? Anyone from any institution of education in Brazil or any startup related to the National Observatory of Blockchain can use Cartesi right now. So I think here there is a huge potential to increase the community with this delivery of this project. The second delivery of these projects, the implementation of several unlearning, machine learning and unlearning algorithms using Cartesi Machine, which are executed from the layer 2 contracts that we have already. The Cartesi Machine is having the machine learning algorithms. And also, these algorithms are already offered for the community in GitHubs that anyone can just download and test those algorithms, those Cartesi machines with the machine learning algorithm and other machine learning algorithms, but also they are able to use in the National Observatory of Blockchain. And this delivery also is also concluded. The third delivery is the development of several proof of concept dApps that use the framework as a solution for the use of machine learning models with the guarantee of compliance with the data protection law. So what we have here right now is two apps that we are developing in the collaboration, one with the Municipality of Niteroi, the other one with a startup that is founding this project. The first one is the NitBus, which is an app related to the municipality of Niteroi that's going to offer to the population a solution that they can track all the buses and discover what's the best route to take from point A to point B in the city with all the times line of the buses. The other one is a electric bike app that we are developing for this startup that we hope that they use this as part of the solution in the near future. So I could show you a small demo. I don't know if you have any question, but
yeah, Guto, it would be great. Before we jump in the demo, just to give also a big picture to Joao and to everyone in the ecosystem. So what we're trying to do together with Guto is open multiple fronts for technology, Cartesi technology adoption, right? So the deployment of Cartesi infrastructure on the Brazilian National Blockchain Network, as Guto said, enable any institution that is connected with this project to try and have access to our protocol stack and create their own experience, right? The second, and Guto, you could bring more visibility to how we are expanding the educational efforts on this semester, right? It will increase the number of institutions directly connected with our initiative, and including online initiatives that Guto is preparing. The Bahia is one of them, but I presume there's other efforts that Guto could bring to our awareness here that will show what is the magnitude and the size and the potential what we're trying to reach with Guto's initiatives. So Guto, if you can elaborate a little bit more on how we're expanding new universities and expanding the online classes footprint with Cartesi protocol stack, would be great.
Okay, so we are offering these as a distance learning, so students could access on real time or after on the videos that I have been showing or teaching about blockchain, and had some hands-on exercise and examples and the project using distance learning manner. So this has a huge potential to increase the community. Also, we have these other universities that has a partnership. Some of them, some of those universities, they are part of this GT Padlock project. So they are very comfortable using Cartesi. They are using Cartesi in many other programs or in their own classes that we share all the material with them. So we have I would say in this semester, probably 100 students. I don't know exactly the number in each institution, but we have something around 100 students. And if you consider the potential with this new program that's going to be offering the observatory, they has a much bigger potential because each class here is going to have 50 students. So you're going to take each of these, let's say if you have this class is being offered like 2 or 3 times per year, it's going to be 150 students, right? So, and now not only from the institutions that have collaboration, like Federal University of Espírito Santo or Federal Institute of Espírito Santo, or the one in Roraima, but anyone in Brazil, right? Someone from Piauí, from Bahia, or from Pernambuco, or from the South Santa Catarina, they could take those classes because you're going to be offered in an open manner, not restricted to any institution. So it's going to be open to anyone, and the potential here to achieve a much higher amount of students. And besides that, when you have this kind of course being offered as a course for students, as a course of an undergrad course, the potential of these national observatory courses is that we are not limited on the institutions that have somehow any collaboration, right? Now those courses are going to be offered to any institution in Brazil, any user or any student that wants to learn about Web3. And this is with much higher potential because they want to focus on the learning Web3, not taking as a credit in the courses, right? So we expect to increase, has a let's say, much higher increasing or students converging on these after taking those courses because they are taking as not as a credit but as they want to learn, right?
Yeah. And Guto, also the online footprint I'm very excited with is the one that you mentioned a while ago to me, Hackers-Do-Bem. Can you throw some light here on that initiative and what is the potential impact that if Hackers-Do-Bem start teaching using Cartesi could have on massification of our protocol stack in terms of education?
Yeah, the Hackers-Do-Bem is a program from science and technology that wants to offer students, or not only students, but any dev that want to learn about how to dev in a safe manner, right? And those courses that are going to be offered to the observatory, they also is going to be available for Hackers-Do-Bem program. So the students that are engaged with Hackers-Do-Bem, which is a huge program from the Science and Technology Ministry, they also will be taking those courses as, or be offered to them those courses as well. So the National Observatory, they have some alignment with the Hackers-Do-Bem, and they are going to be offered to those two communities, which converge on Web3 development, right? With security and all those stacks of blockchain.
The Hackers-Do-Bem, I would say, community is what, 1,000 developers? What is more or less?
I think the number of developers assigned with Hackers-Do-Bem should be more than 5,000. Obviously, they have different interests, right? But the number of people assigned with Hackers-Do-Bem is really, really huge.
That's a huge community.
It's a huge community.
It's a huge community. And Guto, I'm very curious because one of the points of Cartesi protocol stack is shorten or make it easier the transition of regular developers into the Web3 by offering a protocol stack that is much more familiar for them. They can use a common mainstream tooling to develop smart contracts. In your experience so far teaching Cartesi protocol stack and seeing the reaction of the students, how do you see our protocol facilitating the onboard of new developers into the Web3? I'm very curious on that.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, very interesting point. As you mentioned, Bruno, I'm a long-time collaborator of Cartesi, right? I have been teaching Cartesi or investigating and learning about Cartesi since there was no Cartesi CLI, right? When we have to deploy everything from scratch, compile everything before. And now with this possibility, it's much easier. I would say that it's super easy for the new developers to start learning and developing a Web3 solution. This is much, much easier. If you take the possibility, consider also the other side that, in my opinion, is one of the greatest things in Cartesi, which is the possibility of having any smart contract based on Linux development. There is no discussion about all the potential here comparing to others, right? Like, no one has to learn Solidity, for example, or any other solution that is much more complex than shouldn't that looks like they are born knowing Python right now, right? The students, they come up with to the university, they know Python. That's super interesting comparing to when I or Bruno or you, Joao, was starting to program, right? We didn't know anything. Now they come to the university already knowing Python or
No, it
some
really
others,
was
right?
the barrier that existed on you to learning a basic language that existed back then, like C, C++. It was so big that you rather leave it for later, for when you join the university, most of the people.
Yeah.
But with Python, it seems like they're just getting it from school or whatever. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. And some others, I have a 15 years old boy that he just discovered those things by himself, right? They are really smart. They do a lot of things by themselves. They don't need much help. And I think Cartesi's this potential with Cartesi is also very big. There is a lot of material, a lot of possibilities that they can learn by themselves, right? Comparing to others.
So you would name Python as the #1 choice of these young developers while programming contracts?
Definitely, Python is the #1 for all of them.
You touched a very interesting topic. Actually, two things. The first thing is, most of the time when I see people developing for Web3, when it's people of my age, they are more used to going. They want to go for other things that are not Python, which are like JavaScript or Go, or even Rust and C++.
Rust, yeah.
Which I find it funny because I myself, I love Python, and I always had a hard time understanding where are all those Python developers. Well, now I know.
Yeah, they are in the university. Definitely, they are in the university.
And the other thing that you mentioned about developer experience is, where do you think? Because for me, Web3, the hardest part of someone getting into Web3, even harder than the language barrier itself, is the concepts, right? Like, what is a specific token? Why do you use it? And what are the good uses? So where do you think is the biggest barrier on teaching the students? Is it like during the conceptualization and the basics of Web3, or is it later in the language itself? Is it in the implementation itself?
I would say neither of them. I think they understand the concept and I think they understand the language, but there is abstraction in between the transition from the concept to the implementation. Some of them, they have a hard time to understand how to take this concept, the theory of tokens and the applications of a Web3 solution to the implementation of that, right? I think this transaction is the hard time for them. But anyways, we see that they, at the end, they learn the idea, right? You just need 1 or 2 examples with success from them, and then they start to understand very well the idea and start coming up with several other cases of using the Web3.
it's very interesting, Guto. It's like Cartesi protocol stack make the path into Web3 shorter, but of course there are still some gaps that they need to go through in architecture, in why you need decentralization, why we need a token eventually. Those steps are still needed to be covered, but there is a hell of a help once you can use Python and all the tooling that you are commonly already used to code your logic. And on top of that, nowadays, the whole packaging on dev experience that Cartesi managed to create, which is the CLI, which you mentioned, and a few others, the templates, they make not only the creation of the logic easier, but also the launch of your dApp itself a smooth experience, right? So I see now why Cartesi in the current state of its development is getting super, let's say, welcome on the students and universities, and for me this is a hell of a positive indication, because we're creating a new generation of developers in Web3. They're used with Cartesi protocol stack, and they might start choosing Cartesi protocol stack when they create business solutions and commercial solutions in a few years ahead. So yeah, it's very positive. I'm excited with what you're sharing.
Yeah, and there is another thing that the students, they feel challenged when they are learning about Web3, specifically with Cartesi, but they do not give up. Because that is really interesting for them, right? It's not something that's boring that they just I give up. I don't want to do that. They really want to learn, and they go trying and try. At the end, they become a dedicated, and at the end they learn the idea. That's interesting. So I think I mentioned a while ago in one of those recaps, I see the students, they are super excited. They always bring ideas when they're learning about the technology of Cartesi.
This is really awesome. I think this would be a good time for us to move to the demo, which you mentioned.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I can show you here, I don't need to spend much time here, but this is, we have a deployment of these Cartesi POC on a bZAP, which, as I said, it's something that we come up as part of the solution of the project. So the first delivery of the project was creating these API that makes the Cartesi work on the top of a bZAP, which is the national network of blockchain. And if you go to the other two demos that I want to share here, we have two demos. The first one is the bike demo. Let me show you. As you can see on the right, all the interaction with the blockchain. And here in this demo, we have bikes. So each of these spot on blue or yellow are the bike spots. So anyone that wants to rent a bike can just go into one of those places and see what are the available slots of bike to rent a bike. So the green are the available bikes, the red are the not available. So you can select one of those bikes and start using the bike. So unlock the bike. After that, you can use the bike as much as you want, and then you return the bike to any of those spots. So all the tokens that we control here about the possibility, how much you spend, that's related to the time that you have the bike with you, is controlled on a blockchain. But what is the next steps for this? Those are electric bikes. So we are integrating to this project the carbon compensation. So if you pedal the bike instead of using the electric, you are gonna recover part of your tokens that you use it to rent the bike. And this is one thing. But there is we want to go up beyond that. We're going to have, for example, incentives for you to return the bike in some places that has a higher potential of someone to use that bike. You probably have seen, if in your city there is bike, you're going to see, for example, that at night people move the bikes from one spot to another one. And if you offer tokens for people to do that, and especially if they pedal the bike, so you can recharge the bike in your house, right? Because the electricity in your house is cheaper than for the company or the startup that's managing those bikes. So we are going to have a carbon compensation and also a token management, always using blockchain to control that usage. So this is one of those demos that we have. The second one is the bus demo. We have a collaboration with the Municipality of Niteroi. And this collaboration is important to mention that started 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, Bruno probably remember. We have a huge conference here at UFF, and we invited the Municipality of Niteroi to come for the hackathon. And Cartesi was one of the partners with this hackathon. And we offer the students that develop a solution using Cartesi prizes. Obviously, there are prizes for any student that develop in any other solution, but all of the students decided to go with Cartesi. It was interesting because it was optional to use Cartesi, but all the groups decided to use Cartesi. And we invited the municipality to come and bring real problems of the city. And one of those problems was related to the public transportation. They have several problems related to that, but I'm going to tell you two of them. The first one is how they really control if the contract that they have with the buses company are really being managed, and all the companies are fine with that contract. So we have in real-time data from the buses that we receive in a blockchain, all the buses on real time, and we have all the contracts in smart contract that check if the contract has been is a kind of regulation, right? If they are really using all the buses that they need, all the companies. And the payment for the companies is done based on if the companies, all of them, they have been offering the service that has been set up in the contract. And the second, so what is the app here? This app, we have these in background, the contract check in background, but also we are offering to the community this app that they could check, for example, what are the options from point A to point B. So the student, the population can now use this app and search for the best route from point A to point B. When they search for the best route, there are all the buses that in real time being shown in this app. So they know how long it's gonna take for the bus to arrive in the bus stop that he needs to pick up the bus, and how long is gonna be the transfer from point A to point B. That includes, for example, a part of that route walking. But more than that, what's the best route for the user? This is where comes the machine learning algorithms, right? Because the machine learning, they learn from previous user what's the best route. Because sometimes you have 3, 4, 5 lines that are potentially possible to take from point A to point B. So we have machine learning algorithm that's going to be running on that decide what's the best route, considering the other users or the route or the traffic, the time of the day, or things like that, right? And we are going to add to that the possibility of unlearning when the user just sign out of this app, right? Which is the concept of the being with the regulation of the law protection, the data law protection, right? And there is also at the end is going to have a box of compliments or of users that wants to demonstrate unsatisfaction with the service. So they're gonna have the possibility of using this app to show that. And all these complaints is gonna be tracked by a blockchain that to make sure that the user is really receiving the response, considering an SLA and all the response were related to the complaints of the user or things like that. So this app is going to be is already in a POC manner, and we are dealing with the municipality to transform this POC in a real app for the population in Niteroi.
Wow. I really love the bike application. I think the idea of creating carbon credits, energy credits is amazing. And I find it really awesome that in the Buzz application, you're actually aware of, because Brazil has data protection laws and regulations that are very similar to Europe, right? Lots of people don't know that. But it's really amazing that you can create solutions that actually care for that, that actually are aware of all these details in Web3. Because in Web 2, it became very common for us to see that. But in Web 3, that's very rare.
And Joao, just adding here, you're spot on. You see the applications they are creating to solve a real problem based on real constraints on the reality, right? So you see all this taking consideration. And the e-bike, for me, is this fully verifiable green economy that you can create with blockchain technology, which can be used later on for receiving payment on that or using for a loan as a collateral in the deposit. There's a composability here that hasn't been exploited yet, but is an open canvas of financial innovation. And in the Buzz one, I'm super happy that we are reaching this stage that Niteroi Municipality is interested in bringing that in live, because I was with Guto almost a year ago brokering this partnership with Niteroi as a POC. And the reality before this application was the bus companies, they used to collect data and then deliver this data to the municipality for them to process and check if they were compliant with the I would say service contracts. Yeah. And of course, there is a huge misalignment of interest here, because you're trying to check if the service provider is compliant with the contracts, and the service provider is responsible to give you the data for that, right? So Niteroi Municipality removed this data generated event from the bus. They creating these IoT devices that are secure environments, sending information in a secured way that can be fully verifiable by blockchain, by the blockchain implementation on the Cartesi protocol stack. This data will be processed in a fully transparent and verifiable way, and check against the contract rules if the bus company is fulfilling or not. Based on that, actions will be taken. Right? So there is this huge background processing that is happening with Cartesi protocol stack. And on top of that, for the end user experience, you have all this capacity to see information, how it's being generated, and what is the best transfer to get in the current moment, based on the statistics, based on machine learnings. So you have the end user journey and the municipality bus company's journey and handshake. So it's a super interesting application, mixing IoT technology with blockchain, and how we gonna deal with smart cities from here on. So it's a very nice, I would say.
And I love smart cities. It's actually the theme of my thesis. So I love seeing applications.
Yeah, and Bruno, just one thing that we could add is that this is an open project, right? So any city in the world could start using that, because nowadays most of the buses they have been tracked with IoT devices. You can just any city, Rio or São Paulo or even Lisbon could add these as part of the smart city solution, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Guys, this is really awesome. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So just to wrap up, I'm going to have our quick fire session here with Professor Guto. So straight questions, really quick answers, one word, maximum a sentence. Try not to think too much, all right?
Okay, let's try.
Your favorite Web3 application so far?
Good question, but any Cartesi solution for my students are my favorite.
Okay, would you rather see things with DSci, as in science, or DeFi? Like
I'd say DeFi.
DeFi. All right.
Yeah.
What about who is someone that you think everyone should be following to learn more about blockchain? Besides yourself, of course.
I'm far from that. Okay, I can say that I love all these partners from Cartesi, but I'm very fan of Carlo from your group. They have such nice ideas. Bruno, Eric, and there is also a common friend of us, Marco. So those are people that I really feel interesting to learn about that with them. Sorry for the long answer, but it's not easy.
No issues. What do you think is more important on Web3? Security, scalability, or decentralization? So Web3 trilemma.
Yeah, that's tricky, right? I think we could try to maximize the center point here. I mean, we should never give up of any of those, but decentralization for me is my best one.
All right, and last question now. If you have to get out to lunch, would you rather take the bus or the bike?
Oh, bike, definitely.
Healthier, much healthier. That's nice, Guto. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bruno, Guto. If you guys have any other question or topic that you want to talk about or anything that you want to say, feel free. Space is yours.
I think was such a pleasure to have Professor Guto today here explaining the partnership that we have been building and expanding. Excited to see real applications addressing people's real life problems being created using Cartesi protocol stack. I'm very excited to see the expansion of what Guto is doing to other institutions in Brazil and beyond, and excited to what is coming.
Okay, I'd like to thank you, Joao, thank you, Bruno, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, with the community. I see a lot of potential, not only with this collaboration, but with the collaboration with any other institution. I was last week in a conference, the SBRC, the same one that I had in Niteroi, and the people was always impressed with Cartesi when I describe our project. So it's always a pleasure to be here, to learn more with all of you, and it's really good, the collaboration. Thank you so much.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much for coming, Guto. It was really good to see a compilation of everything together that I've been just picking parts and snippets during the Echo recaps, and now I got this huge compilation. This is awesome. So that's it. That was I Build Our 4 AM. Thank you for watching, and keep building and pioneering the world of Web3. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rolf.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.